Noodles can be soupy, spicy, cheesy, creamy, or covered in a glossy black sauce, and depending on where you travel, they may look completely different. From Japanese ramen and Italian-American spaghetti to Peru's bright green pasta, here are 10 iconic noodles from around the world. Ramen. Ramen may be one of Japan's most famous foods, but its earliest roots lead back to China. Its springy wheat noodles get their distinctive texture from kansui, an alkaline ingredient. They are served in broth seasoned with soy sauce, salt, miso, or other flavor bases, then topped with ingredients such as sliced pork, soft-boiled eggs, bamboo shoots, seaweed, and green onions. During the 20th century, ramen developed into a deeply regional Japanese food culture. Sapporo became famous for miso ramen, while Hakata is known for thin noodles in cloudy pork bone broth. And ramen shops can be intensely specialized. Some chefs spend years perfecting just one broth, one noodle texture, and one carefully balanced bowl. Spaghetti and meatballs. Spaghetti and meatballs looks Italian, but the large saucy version most people recognize is better described as Italian-American. Italian immigrants brought their pasta traditions to the United States in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. As meat became more affordable and available in America, meatballs grew larger and moved from a supporting role to the center of the plate. They were paired with spaghetti, covered in generous amounts of tomato sauce, and finished with grated cheese. In Italy, pasta and meatballs certainly exist, but they are not usually served together in this oversized American style. The result became a classic of immigrant neighborhoods, family restaurants, and home cooking, a dish inspired by Italy but shaped by life in the United States. Pad Thai. Pad Thai is a fast-moving balance of sweet, salty, sour, and savory flavors. Rice noodles are stir-fried over high heat with egg, tofu, bean sprouts, and a sauce commonly made with tamarind, fish sauce, and sugar. Dried shrimp or fresh shrimp may be added, while crushed peanuts, chili, and lime are served alongside. Noodles reached Thailand through centuries of Chinese influence, but Pad Thai developed its modern identity during the 20th century. It was strongly promoted during the World War II era when Thailand's government encouraged noodle consumption and presented the dish as part of a modern national identity. Today, Pad Thai is internationally famous, but it represents only one small part of Thailand's enormous and wonderfully diverse noodle culture. Mac and cheese. Mac and cheese begins with short macaroni rather than long noodles, but it still belongs to the pasta family. The basic idea is beautifully simple: cooked macaroni combined with a creamy cheese sauce. Some versions stay soft and silky on the stovetop, while others are baked under a golden crust of cheese or breadcrumbs. Pasta and cheese had already been paired in Europe for centuries before the combination became deeply rooted in American cooking. A famous story connects the dish to Thomas Jefferson, who encountered European pasta during his travels. But historians debate exactly how much credit he deserves. What is known is that a macaroni dish appeared at a White House dinner in 1802. Mac and cheese later became an American comfort food favorite, with particularly important traditions in Southern and African American cooking. Pho. Pho is built around flat rice noodles and a clear but deeply aromatic broth. The broth is usually simmered with beef or chicken and fragrant spices such as star anise, cinnamon, and cloves. The noodles may be topped with thinly sliced beef, cooked chicken, green onions, and fresh herbs. Pho most likely emerged in northern Vietnam around the end of the 19th or beginning of the 20th century. Nam Dinh is often described as its geographical birthplace, while Hanoi became its cultural home. Chinese noodle traditions, Vietnamese cooking, and increased beef consumption during the French colonial period may all have influenced its development. Northern Pho is usually simpler and more restrained. Southern versions often arrive with extra herbs, bean sprouts, lime, and sauces, making one beloved dish feel like two different experiences. Dan Dan Noodles. Dan Dan Noodles began as a portable street food in Sichuan, China. The name comes from the Dan Dan, a bamboo carrying pole that vendors balanced across their shoulders. The pole held noodles and ingredients on one side and cooking equipment on the other, allowing hawkers to sell quick meals through the streets. Traditional Sichuan versions are often served with a concentrated sauce rather than a large bowl of soup. Chili oil, preserved vegetables, minced pork, sesame paste or ground sesame, and numbing Sichuan pepper create layers of heat, saltiness, nuttiness, and fragrance. But Dan Dan noodles have changed as they have traveled. Some international versions are creamier, sweeter, or much more heavily coated in sesame sauce. The presentation may vary, but the best versions still deliver that unforgettable Sichuan combination of spicy and numbing flavors. Tallarines Verdes. Tallarines Verdes means green noodles, and its brilliant color comes from a Peruvian interpretation of Italian pesto. Italian immigrants, many of them from Liguria, the region associated with pesto genovese, arrived in Peru during the 19th century. Their recipes were adapted to local ingredients and tastes. Instead of relying mainly on basil, the Peruvian sauce commonly blends basil with plenty of spinach. Queso fresco, evaporated milk, garlic, and nuts may make it creamier and milder than traditional Italian pesto. The vivid green sauce is tossed with spaghetti or another long pasta. It is often served beside a breaded cutlet or a juicy grilled steak, turning the noodles into a generous full meal. Tallarines Verdes is a delicious example of how an immigrant recipe can become something unmistakably Peruvian. Käsespätzle. Käsespätzle is sometimes described as the Alpine answer to mac and cheese, but the noodles are completely different. Spätzle are soft egg noodles made from a loose dough. Instead of being rolled and cut like Italian pasta, the dough is scraped or pressed directly into boiling water, creating small, irregular shapes with a wonderfully tender and chewy texture. For Käsespätzle, the hot noodles are layered with melting cheese, often a strong Alpine mountain cheese or Emmentaler. Crispy or caramelized onions are scattered over the top. The dish is especially associated with Swabia in southern Germany and is also popular in Austria and other German-speaking Alpine regions. It is rich, rustic, and especially satisfying after a cold day in the mountains. No complicated sauce required. Laksa. Laksa is not one single recipe. It is an entire family of bold noodle soups found across Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and neighboring regions. Many varieties are associated with Peranakan cooking, which blended Chinese ingredients and techniques with Malay and Indonesian spices. Curry laksa is rich and creamy, with coconut milk, chili, noodles, and toppings, such as shrimp, chicken, tofu puffs, or eggs. Penang's Assam laksa is dramatically different. Its fish-based broth is sharpened with tamarind, creating a flavor that is sour, spicy, and savory rather than creamy. Sarawak laksa has another distinctive spice blend, while Singapore's Katong laksa traditionally uses noodles cut short enough to eat with a spoon. So ordering laksa without naming the region can lead to a very delicious surprise. Jjajangmyeon. Jjajangmyeon is instantly recognizable by its thick, glossy, nearly black sauce. The sauce is made from chunjang, a dark, fermented bean paste, stir-fried with pork, onions, and vegetables, then spooned over chewy wheat noodles. The dish developed from Chinese Jjajangmyeon after Chinese immigrants settled around the Korean port of Incheon, which opened to international trade in 1883. Over time, the sauce became darker, sweeter, and better suited to Korean tastes, creating a distinctly Korean Chinese comfort food. Jjajangmyeon is affordable, convenient, and famously popular for delivery. It is also traditionally eaten on Black Day, April 14th, when some single people gather to eat black-colored foods together. Few noodle dishes can look so dark while tasting so comforting. From spicy street noodles to cheesy Alpine comfort food, every bowl tells a story of migration, adaptation, and local taste. Which one would you try first? Tell us in the comments and subscribe to Top Food Explained for more fascinating foods from around the world.